Hey, you're listening to the Riverdale podcast. This is episode number 103. My name is Jonathan. Welcome to lovely Riverdale, USA. This is a weekly Archie Comics fan podcast. We update every Saturday morning, and every week we break things down into 4 categories. The first category is the book of the week. That's the comic book I read this week. Sometimes it's a new comic book, sometimes it's an old comic book, but it's always an Archie comic book. We move then to the news of the week. That's what happened in the world of Archie in the week since our last podcast. Then on to new releases. That's what came out this past Wednesday, what will be coming up this coming Wednesday from Archie Comics. And we're going to wrap up this week talking about merchandising. Brand new merchandising. Archie Hot Wheels. Yes, it's the truth. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But that's what the show looks like this week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for downloading. Let's get on to the book of the week. All right, this week's book of the week is going to require a little bit of explaining. This week's book of the week is Laugh number 24 from August 1990. Well, October cover date, August release date, 1990. This is Laugh number 24. Now, if you were listening last week, you know that last week I reviewed Laugh number 25. It did not occur to me that these were 2 consecutive issues until this comic came in the mail. This comic book is special. Not that last week's Laugh number 25 wasn't special. It was a gift from a friend, as I talked about. It's sort of an oddball, cool old issue from the 90s. This issue in particular is special because this is the only modern appearance at this time of Super Duck. I don't remember where I was reading about Super Duck, but I found out that there was an appearance of Super Duck in the 90s in this issue of Laugh. So I ordered it. It showed up, and I cannot begin to tell you how strange this issue is. Little bit of history. Super Duck is a character who existed back in the 50s, maybe as early as the late 40s. I believe generally just in the 50s. He was created in the mold sort of the great Carl Barks, Donald Duck, Scrooge type comics. He's an anthropomorphic, funny animal duck. I haven't read a lot of Super Duck stuff. His stories appeared in some digests recently with the 78th anniversary and all of that. A bunch of Super Duck stories were reprinted in digests. But in general, a character sort of lost in time and then brought back in the mid-2000s for the Night at the Comic Shop storyline, in which a lot of fictional comic book characters came to life inside the comic shop. There's a sequel to that as well. Both of those are super good, and those issues, those storylines, and this issue are the only modern new appearances of Super Duck. I mean, granted, this is now nearly 25 years old, but it is weird. It is so weird, you guys, and I'm thrilled to have something as exciting as this to talk about. So I found out about this issue. I found out that Super Duck was in this issue from 1990. I looked it up, and on the cover is Super Duck in a superhero costume that may have been a facet of his character that I'm completely unaware of. Generally, and oddly enough, all of the Super Duck stories that I've read have him just plain clothed, having everyday sort of strange events, not unlike episodic kind of Donald Duck kind of stories of him getting into mischief and trouble and whatnot. This is on the cover, credited to Garcia and D'Agostino, is him in a superhero costume, and he is about to fight Robo-Duck, who is very much in the same vein as RoboCop. He has the same sort of circular joints at his elbows and knees. You've really got to head over to RiverdalePodcast.com and take a look at this cover. So this is a RoboCop-looking Robo-Duck, but all of his armor is made out of, like, consumer electronics and garbage and stuff. He has 2 toasters for shoulder pads. His torso is made of a microwave and maybe some sort of heater or something. It's super, super strange. The cover alone will draw you in. And there above the Laugh logo, it says, "Introducing the Adventures of the Cat and the Duck." So let's get into the guts of this book. It only gets weirder. First of all, this is scripted by Jeff Rovin. I am completely unfamiliar with his work. Penciling by Dave Garcia, who did the cover as well. Inks by Robert Downs. Letters by M. Eisman. Colors and production by Barry Grossman. There's a familiar name. So right out of the gates, it's a bunch of folks I don't recognize, and I'm not aware of their work inside or outside of Archie, with the exception of Barry Grossman, obviously, on the colors. So the premise of the book is that we get sort of bookends starring Archie and Jughead and Sabrina, where they're going on a picnic and leaving Salem by himself. And Salem is given some very unique powers here. First of all, he's an orange cat. I believe he was traditionally an orange cat and became a black cat later. I could be wrong about that, but he's still his traditional orange with a white stomach. But he is greatly anthropomorphized in this, to the point where he wears clothes. But one of the most interesting things that they do within the story is that he has these like constructs, not unlike like Green Lantern or something. There's a scene right after everyone leaves. Salem is excited to be home alone. He's about to get dressed, and he has all of these cloud-looking hands, like human hands. I don't know if I'm describing this well. They're like cloud-like. They're moving around the room, grabbing things for him. There's a couple of hands that are putting a cassette into a cassette deck and pressing play for him. And we see this power throughout the issue. He's able to create these things, like I said, not unlike Green Lantern, and have them sort of do his bidding and get him around and stuff. So Salem gets dressed up in a tracksuit, like an 80s style tracksuit that's blue with white stripes with a zipper up the front, and some sort of shell toe looking sneakers and a red headband. And it all gets weirder from here. We're introduced to some other animal characters who come and tell Salem that there's a big problem because Robo-Duck has arrived. And we meet Robo-Duck, who was apparently a very ordinary duck until he got into a polluted lake and became this monster, who, as I said, is made out of consumer electronics. So that's a very 90s concept, the idea that pollution will manifest itself in a very literal way. So you pollute the lake, and then a monster duck rises out of it. I mean, maybe this is, not to get too grandiose, maybe this is in the same vein as Godzilla or something like that. But in the 90s, it became very, very prevalent to have these really heavy-handed messages of environmentalism and stuff. And this is a prime example of that. So Salem becomes aware of this monster, this Robo-Duck, climbing around, and runs off to meet up with Super Duck. So here we are in the Riverdale Marsh. We're introduced to this whole crew of characters. I believe that some of these are probably Golden Age characters. I don't recognize them immediately. The tortoise, I recognize. I don't know my classic MLJ funny animal characters as much as maybe I should. There is a terrific frog who looks just like Diggum from the Honey Smacks cereal box, just like it. Yellow shirt, backwards red hat, the whole thing. But in any event, we find Super Duck, and he is teaching the children of the marsh, the little animal characters, all about human beings. And we're introduced to Super Duck's girlfriend, and then the story really picks up. And this is just absurd. Salem and his mouse friend arrive in a sort of cloud, sparkly construct biplane, like a bi-winged airplane, like an old style, like 40s airplane. Because, of course, if you want to get from one place to another quickly and you can construct anything using your magical powers, you would, of course, make a biplane to get you from place to place. Salem arrives and tells Super Duck, who goes by the name of Clifton, that he has to get it together and save the world from Robo-Duck. And we find here that Clifton is the son of the original Super Duck. Now, I know that the Super Duck stories, again, this is my ignorance of that character, a lot of the Super Duck stories that I read involved Super Duck and his son. And I believe this is the son character, leading to sort of a legacy, which is something I always like to see in comics. And we found out that Clifton must go to... What is his name? It's a really ridiculous pun. Owlbert Einstein, O-W-L Bert Einstein, who is an owl who lives in a tree, has glasses, of course, is a crazy scientist, and is apparently responsible for the original Super Duck's powers. Albert tells us that, tells us the reader, as well as Clifton here, that he is responsible for the original Super Duck's powers, and he still has the costume and everything. And that's sort of where the story begins and ends. There's some other hardships that go on, but for the most part, Super Duck... Well, there's a really weird instance of some kind of racist Chinese ducks in here. I'm glad we haven't seen them before or since. But Super Duck, as you might imagine, is battling Robo-Duck, doing a pretty good job. There are some shortcomings and whatnot. But what really kicks the story, what really wraps it all up, is Salem, in his kind of cloudy construct jetpack, has gotten rid of the biplane and is now using a jetpack, which has actual fire shooting out of the back of it, which doesn't make a lick of sense. Goes back to the marsh to find the source of Robo-Duck's power. And I'm going to read this straight up. These are the word captions from Salem, who's speaking to himself, and then therefore to us, the reader. Okay, here it is. An eyesore that Riverdale should be ashamed of. He's hanging out over the marsh. Robo-Duck was created here, and there's the battery that gives him his powers. Second panel, we are looking at a car battery hooked up to a TV remote control. And Salem, who I need to remind you is standing upright, has hands, is wearing a blue tracksuit with white stripes, and a red sweatband, says, "Just as I thought." It's attached to a discarded TV remote control, which is beaming energy to the big bird. So that's apparently the source of Robo-Duck's power, is a car battery attached to a TV remote. He detaches them, and Robo-Duck loses his powers and immediately looks exactly like Daffy Duck. Like, exactly like Daffy Duck. Like, right on model. Ridiculous. And then the final page of the story is Betty and Veronica and Archie and Jughead and Salem at the marsh cleaning stuff up. There's a reference to the fact that they borrowed Svensson's truck. Svensson apparently has a vanity license plate that just says Sven, which is really good. And there's a question posed to Sabrina of how she knew that the marsh was in need of a cleanup like this. She says, "Oh, a magical little kitty told me." And there's a literal wink at the audience from Salem at that point. So in the final panel of the story, you see Super Duck and Salem flying away. And there's a caption that says, if you'd like to see further adventures of Salem and Super Duck, write to us at The Cat and the Duck, care of Archie Comics, yada, yada, yada. So, obviously this came out of an era of pretty intense experimentation. This is the era in which you had, Jughead's Diner and Archie 3000 and Jughead's Time Police. So I'm interested if you guys know of any other stuff like this. I mean, obviously this is like sort of a backdoor pilot of sorts. Somebody wrote and drew this with the intention that this could potentially be a spin-off of sorts, either a miniseries or an ongoing or something, to bring back that concept of anthropomorphic characters into the Archie publishing line, which could have been a cool thing. I think that this is just wacky. I can't imagine this, and it's easy with history on our side to say that this will not and did not pan out. But I think it's an interesting part of this, the sort of the history of Archie Comics, pulling a character from the past and then upgrading, if you will, the Salem character to give him a real starring role in a book. So if anybody else has laugh issues from this era, please let me know if there are other concepts like this, wacky concepts. I'd love to talk more about these sorts of oddball stories from the history of Archie Comics. But there it is, laugh number 24, The Adventures of the Cat and the Duck. If you guys can track this down, it was not expensive. It is definitely worth your time. And if you are a fan of those old Super Duck stories, it's cool to see him, starring in a comic, even if it is 25 years old now. But there it is. I will stop rambling. We will get on with the show. But that is your book of the week, laugh number 24. All right, in Archie news this week, a bunch of stories. Let's get right down to it. First of all, Alex Segura is back at Archie. He spent a good deal of time at Archie for a couple of years ago. Wrote the Archie Meets Kiss storyline, did a great job with that, and was really successful at getting a lot of mainstream coverage of Archie Comics. Obviously, it helped that Archie was creating these great stories. I believe he was around for a lot of the time when the Life with Archie book was first launching, things like that. There were a lot of initiatives to get publicity, and he was there to really capitalize on those. And like I said, get a lot of mainstream press, a lot of eyes on Archie. So exciting to have him back. Also, this week, the Riverdale Rescue game, the Goji Games mobile game, the iOS game that launched last summer, has officially been launched for PC. That is in collaboration with Big Fish Games. So head over to bigfishgames.com. Download that. It's basically, I downloaded it and checked it out. It is basically an app that allows you to play the game through it. I had a little trouble. I think there's some bugs that are still being worked out. But definitely check that out if you haven't played that game yet. It is a lot of fun. And now that I can play it on my desktop, I was just speaking a couple weeks ago about how I would spend more time with it had I a device that could run it. Now I do. We'll see if my relationship with it changes. But nonetheless, exciting for everyone who doesn't have an iOS device to head over to Big Fish Games and check out Riverdale Rescue. This week, Archie finally officially announced Diary of a Girl Next Door, Betty. This is their illustrated novel. And I talked about this months ago. I sort of heard rumblings of it. It showed up on Amazon as a pre-order, as a sort of a placeholder. And I've been very interested to see how this is going to shake out, who is going to be working on it, what the plan was. And it is written, officially announced. It is written by Tanya Del Rio. Fantastic, obviously, of Sabrina the Teenage Witch fame. It is interior illustrations by Bill Galvin. Anyone who's listened to the show for a long time knows that I love Bill Galvin's rendering of the Archie kids. I love Bill Galvin's art. So I'm excited about this book. This is done I guess I'm sort of tiptoeing around it, but it is in the model of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which, as I wrote on the website, has since become like a genre. Jeffrey Brown did an amazing Jedi Academy, a Star Wars themed book in this style that I read last summer and loved. So it's text that's sort of married with images. So there's some. It's not straight comics and it's not straight prose. If you haven't seen books like this, it's an interesting combination and like sort of a unique form. But cool. This is notable in that it's Archie Comics' first foray into a prose style book, a young adult fiction book. They've done prose stuff in the past, teaming with other publishers, and now they're sort of stepping out on their own and doing this. So it's exciting in that it's Tanya Del Rio working at Archie. It's exciting in that it's Bill Galvin working at Archie. It's exciting in that it's a new sort of publishing realm for them. So it's rad, and it's set for release date of July 16th, so that is super exciting. A couple other quick things. Over at IGN, we got a brief interview with Dan Parent about the upcoming Kevin Keller arc where he's going to become the superhero, the Equalizer. I think we'd heard about this maybe a couple months back. We saw some pictures and stuff. This is a few more specifics on that as it's getting closer, so that's cool. Also this week over on Comic Book Resources, we got a preview of the upcoming covers for Afterlife with Archie number 7. There's, of course, a Francesco Francavilla cover for that, and the variant cover this month is Andrew Peapoy, who has done prior covers, did a Veronica cover, a Betty cover, and a Sabrina cover. This is a Betty and Veronica cover. Just as scandalous as all the others, if that's what you're looking for. So that's the news for this week. Alex Segura is back at Archie. Riverdale Rescue is available for PC. Betty, The Diary of a Girl Next Door, coming soon. IGN has that interview with Dan Parent. CBR's got the covers for Afterlife with Archie. Head over to RiverdalePodcast.com. You'll see the post for this episode, and all of those links are waiting there for you to click. So check that out. All right, new releases. New releases for this past Wednesday, the 19th. Slim Pickings. This past Wednesday, we got the second printing of Afterlife with Archie number 3. So not necessarily exciting unless you missed that issue or you want to get another great cover from Francesco Francavilla. But nonetheless exciting that we're getting second printings on all of these issues. Awesome. Coming up next week, big week next week. Excited about this. This coming Wednesday, the 26th, we're going to get Betty and Veronica Double Digest number 221 for $3.99. Jughead Double Digest number 200. This is the final issue of the Jughead Digest before it becomes Archie and Jughead. So a little bit of a drag, but a big send out, the Double Digest treatment, which means it's going to be 300 plus pages for $5.99. Great Jughead stories. Awesome. Also next week, Life with Archie number 34 for $3.99. So it's been a long time coming. I feel like we've been waiting a long time for this issue. But Paul Kupperberg never disappoints. Great to see Fernando Ruiz. Great to see the Kennedys drawing. I'm always excited when Life with Archie is out. So we will probably be talking about that next week on next week's show. Finally, coming up this coming Wednesday, the 26th, we get Sonic Super Special Magazine number 10 for $9.99. It's exciting to see that reach 10 issues because I believe it's quarterly. So it's been running for a while. It is a high price point at $9.99. So obviously it's been running for a couple years now. People are finding some value in that. That's exciting. That's cool. Over on the digital side of things, this week we got a new digital exclusive, which is Archie at the Chocolate Shop. This is marking the 70th anniversary of Pop Tate's Chocolate Shop, which it says in the description of this issue, premiered in PEP number 46 in 1944. This is a 200-page digital exclusive, $5.99, all stories that take place in and around the chocolate shop, starring Pop Tate. awesome, and a long time coming. Cool to see something focused around Pop Tate. He's a cool guy, even if he is fictional. So those are your new releases for this past Wednesday, the 19th, this coming Wednesday, the 26th, and your digital releases of the week for March. Finally, this week, there's some merchandising. There's some stuff that you can go out and spend your money on. I was completely unaware that these were coming or that they had hit or anything. But over on the Facebook page, a listener of the show, Jean-Pierre, mentioned this in the comments for last week's episode, if I had seen the Archie Hot Wheels cars. I said, no, I hadn't seen them. I looked them up online. They look great. And then the next day, I trekked out to the store in the snow to track them down because I was so excited. But I can't deny that part of what makes them exciting is the fact that I just don't remember seeing Archie merchandise in regular, kind of non-comic shop, square, brick and mortar kind of stores. I went to Target and found these. It's a set of 6. I found 5 of them, so I'm one shy. And they are not your traditional 99-cent Hot Wheel cars. They are a little higher grade, a little higher end. So they run between $4 and $5. Some places have them for $4.50. Some of them had them for $4.99. But they are not, as you might think, they're not based on cars within Archie Comics. You're not getting Archie's Jalopy or anything like that, which would be rad. It would be a cool thing for a future set. But what they are classic cars that have images of Archie characters on them. And but part of what's exciting about them is they have these really nice backer cards, these nice bright ones. And every card is different. Everyone has different art. It's mostly great Dan Parent art. And a couple of them have Fernando Ruiz art on them as well. So they have nice, big, bright backer cards, generally cover images from stuff that's been produced over the last couple of years. And then nice, like, metal cars, fully metal, which is rare in today's market, and nice rubber tires on them and everything. They look great. Just bright and shiny and nice. I'm going to have to do something visual about these in the future, so I might do a blog post and take some pictures or something in the coming week. But nevertheless, I'm really excited if you're out and about, to check out the toy department of Target or Walmart or stop by Toys R Us or something and track these down. They're a lot of fun. I'm sort of holding them in my hands, looking at them and then not doing a very good job of explaining them. But there's a great sort of 70s style van with the classic Dan DeCarlo 3 on a milkshake. Betty and Veronica and Archie. That classic Dan DeCarlo image, just printed on a cool little Hot Wheels car. I think there's some note to that, some worth to that. And if these sell well, we may see more. If there's a push for exciting stuff like this, maybe we'll get more mass market, non-comic shoppy niche kind of products involving the Archie gang, and I would love that. But in any event, if you're out in the world, check out Archie Hot Wheels cars. A great way to help out the show is to listen every week. If you like the show, come back every Saturday. Head over to RiverdalePodcast.com and listen every week. Or subscribe on iTunes, write a review, tell your friends about it. If you're on different comic book message boards, you could mention the show. Tell folks who are into Archie Comics about the show. That's a great way to help out the show. If you want to help out the show financially, you can do a couple of things. You can head over to RiverdalePodcast.com. You can click the donate button. You can give a small amount of money, a big amount of money. If you like the show and want to see it keep going, you can leave a donation there. Also at RiverdalePodcast.com, you can click the link for TFAW, Things from Another World. It's a great online comic shop. You can get new issues. You can get current back issues. If you're looking for, if you missed an issue of a digest, those can be hard to track down on newsstands and at comic shops. They've got them. The past year or so of Archie digests, head over there and check them out. They'll be waiting for you. Also, those IDW hardcovers, one of the only places you can get those now. Head over there, check that out. And all of your other comics, any of your other comics needs can be fulfilled at Things from Another World. And if you go to RiverdalePodcast.com and then click that link for Things from Another World, a percentage of what you spend will be sent back to us. So get yourself some great deals on comics, support the show at the same time. On the way out today, I want to remind everyone to head over to RiverdalePodcast.com. There you're going to see the cover for this week's Book of the Week, Laugh, number 24. You have to see the cover of this comic book. If I have not convinced you in my review that you need to check it out, just for your own sake, please. It is absurd. At RiverdalePodcast.com, you'll see that cover. You'll find the links to all of the stuff we discussed in the news portion of the show. Also, I've been updating stuff. A lot of press releases have been coming out from Archie. Trying to get all of those sent out to you. So if you're looking for up-to-date Archie news coming straight from Archie Comics, head over to RiverdalePodcast.com. Staying as on top of that as I can. I'm getting everything that they send me out and up to you guys. So up-to-date stuff over at RiverdalePodcast.com. Also, at RiverdalePodcast.com, you'll find a link to send us an email at RiverdalePodcast@yahoo.com. You'll find a link there to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Also, we now have a voicemail line. You can call 573-427-2443. That is 573-4-ARCHIE. If you have comments, thoughts, questions, call in, let us know what's up. Riverdale Podcast is part of First Comics News. Head over to First Comics News for your comics news, podcasts, reviews, cool stuff going up all the time. And they syndicate the show there, which is super nice of them. I guess that's going to do it for this week. Long episode. Thanks for sticking with me. Long-winded about that old Laugh issue. But that's going to do it for this week. Thanks so much for listening. Again, my name is Jonathan, and I'll see you again next week here in lovely Riverdale, USA.